Here we go, guys. 491, number 20, 8-5. One of the issues that we just had is I did all this already and it didn't record, so I caught myself. We'll stop and we'll redo it. So I wrote it out. I highlighted these here because we're going to group those together because it's 9y squared and negative 54. And then we have negative 4x squared and 32x. We're going to group those together, including the sign. And then we're going to move the c over like we have been. So we're going to move c all the way over here. I regrouped them into parentheses here. So I got my x's together, I've got my y's together, and now I need to factor out the number, or a, that's in front. And so we've got to factor out the coefficient that is in front here. So I'm going to factor out a 9. If I divide 9 y squared by 9, I get left with 9y squared. If I divide 54 by 9, I get 6y. Leave a little space. I'm going to divide out a negative 4, so I'm going to get a negative 4. Negative 4 divided by 32 divided by negative 4 gives me a negative 8, and I leave a little space, and we keep my c over there. The reason this arrow is here is this how this negative sign tells me it's a hyperbola, not an ellipse. If it was an addition sign, it would be an ellipse, but since it's a negative sign, it's going to be a hyperbola. So now we've got our pieces here. So now what we need to do is we need to complete the square on both of these, just like we did with the ellipse. So we're going to take b, which is negative 6, and we're going to divide it by 2, and we're going to square it. Okay? And then on this side, we're going to take b, which is negative 8, we're going to divide it by 2, and we're going to square it. So we're going to add that to that side, and we're going to add that to that quantity. So now I've done negative 6 divided by 2, which is negative 3. I square it, gives me 9. 9 times 9 is 81. Take negative 8 divided by 4, divided by 2 gives me negative 4. Negative 4 squared is 16. 16 times negative 4 is negative 64. So I've completed this step. I did my b divided by 2 squared. I multiplied it by the coefficient in front and added it to the other side. So now my next step is going to be y minus the sign here, b over 2. Negative 6 divided by 3 is, divided by 2 is 3. We have squared. Negative 4 x minus 4 squared equals 36. So if you combine all those, you get 36. So now, remember, this has to be 1, just like an ellipse. So how do I make this side 1? I divide it by 36. I divide it by 36. I divide it by 36. So if I clean all this stuff up, I'm going to get y minus 3 squared over 4 minus x minus 4 squared over 9. And it's going to equal 1. So now I'm all set up. So now my a is on my y, so that's going to be 2. A is equal to 2 because it's a squared. My b is going to equal to 9. And my c, I'm not 9, 3. And my c will equal the square root of 13. So now you can find all your points, your loci, your focus, your vertices, all those different pieces from there. So if we're going to graph this, it's a little different. So and then my h and my k are going to be 4 and 3. Watch out, because you flip these by accident, it'll mess you up. So remember, h is always with the x, so that's that's going to be 4, and that's going to be 3. So then if we look at this, I'm going to take this, and I'll draw my line like I need here. Here's my y-axis, here's my x-axis. I'll go ahead and go over 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, up 3, 1, 2, 3. There's my center, okay? So that's my center. And then, so from there, I know my A is going this way, so I'm going to go 1, 2. There's my A. 1, 2. My B is 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. All right. So then this is where it's a little different when it comes to hyperbolas. I'm going to draw a really light box right here. Okay. I'm going to draw a really, really light box. And then I'm going to make an X through my light box. Oops, off to the side a little bit. Sorry, guys. So these are really asymptotes, so they're kind of dotted lines. Remember, this is an imaginary box, so it's really not drawn in there. So here's my vertex. My Y is my first term, so that means this thing is going to point up in the Y direction. And all I do is I follow my X and I draw, my hyperbola, which is kind of like two parabolas going in opposite directions. So that's my graph there. Okay. This point here is my vertex, and this point here is my vertex, and these are my co-vertices. So this one is at 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're going to go up, up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is going to be at 4 and 5. This is going to be at 4 and 1. This is going to be at this is 4, 1, 5, 6, 7, 7 and 3, and this is going to be at 1 and 3. So there's my vertices and my co-vertices. So you've got your ability to kind of add that to it. This point here plus the C going this way will give you your focus. So now the difference between an ellipse and a hyperbola is the focuses are outside your vertices on a hyperbola, and they're inside the vertices on your ellipse. So that's the biggest difference, okay? That's why that subtraction sign comes in there. So the vertices are outside of the foci are outside the vertices on a hyperbola. They're inside the vertices on an ellipse, and they're the exact same thing when it comes to a circle. So those are the three differences right there.